Welcome to the ZoliArt Montana podcast. My name is Linda, here with Zoli Althea Brown. And let's get started with this question, Zoli. What is the spiritual cost of people pleasing?
Oh, God, that one hurts. I think, look at it age by age. When we're kids, if you don't, at least to some degree, please the parental units that you have, your teachers, those around you, the positive side of that is that we learn how to live in community. And we learn that it's not always about us. The negative aspect, of course, is if we don't find out who we are, more of our own personality, then we become otherized. What people think of us is more important than who we are. That's what social media is all based on. What we think of you is more important than who and what you are. And who and what you are can be two totally different things. But people pleasing, that can be codependency. It can be, I know all about you and nothing about myself. It's a huge subject. And I think it's a very personal thing. It interacts differently with males than with females. I was laughing at Jordan Peterson, an old monologue that he had, talked about if you're a guy and you're communicating with another guy, you know that at any time you can get punched. So if you're a guy and you're talking to a female, you don't want to say anything because you don't know what to say because you're probably not going to get punched. So there's the people pleasing and there's the getting alongness happening at the same time. It can be very specific to the situation.
Yeah, it is rather complicated because, of course, we live with people, so we have to be considerate of others and get along in our families and communities. But when that people pleasing, as you say, with females, it can be different. It becomes burdensome or almost like it becomes your whole identity.
It can. And I think with females, we are not critical thinkers. It's something that we have to work towards. And men are not feeling in their nature. They need that from us. But to be a critical thinker, you're going to have to get out of your emotions and your feelings and look objectively at things. I think that's a very difficult subject.
It really is because it's all about feelings, right? Sometimes when we're people pleasing, we're doing so to avoid making other people angry or upsetting the status quo.
Those can be positive things. Yeah. So it's a skill set. And guess what? It'll also be cultural. It'll be in different cultures. You'll react differently. God forbid you should have to leave your home country like people do and move somewhere else where the culture is totally different. Your language is different. You might dress differently. It's a real shock to the system. So to please other people, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but you have to decide on your own, where do I stop and where do they start? And what am I losing if I'm not looking at the whole picture for myself?
It's a really good point. And it can be hard because that changes throughout time, from as a mother, for example. When you have a baby, that baby is with you 24 hours a day. That baby's basically attached to you and it needs that. You have to do everything for the baby. But as your child gets older, it's a challenge to navigate the changing relationship because you're not going to want to baby your teenagers and do everything for them. Or you're going to have a bunch of incompetent adults on your hands.
How did you deal with that? Because I wasn't a mom. You were. How did you approach that with your 3 sons?
A lot of inner reflection and a lot of reminding myself that my goal is for them to be satisfied and responsible and healthy adults, and that the behavior that I was doing as a mother, mothering them when they were babies and toddlers, can't look the same as now. Now, of course, they're also growing, so that helps, just the natural progression of growing. Kids will tell you a lot, "Okay, Mom, I don't need you to do this for me." And you learn that way as well.
Yes. And what is more dependent than a human child? We are defenseless. Oh my God. If you are a buffalo and you're born, you're going to get up very soon and run, but we can't do that. And so everything is set within proportion to the species you are and the kind of person you are and your culture. It's a hugely complex situation. And I think the term codependency fits in this area very well. Codependency is a mother of all addictions. And we can get addicted to asking other people. I was like that when I was in my 20s. I had this wonderful Bruja woman. She was Gypsy. She was Romani. She said to me, I was like 23. She said, at some point, you're going to have to decide what you want. And I thought, how the hell do you do that? I don't have a clue. I just don't. Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and they weren't all negative. Part of it was my age. I didn't even have a prefrontal cortex by then. So we come in and out of knowing, and I'd say look to guidance, look to who you love and who you admire. How do they deal with that? And we have to have a stop. We have to have a stop point. When other people are asking for interaction and we don't want to, or we don't see that, are we going to try to please them, to shut them up, to get away, whatever? Sometimes you got to do that. But it's a very specific situation considering who you're talking to, where you are, and your culture.
When we're upset or we're mad or we're happy, what is in us that make up those feelings? Is that us that is feeling that?
Oh boy, that's a big one. Well, let's back it up a little bit. What am I? I had that realization a couple of weeks ago. I woke up in the morning and said, wait a minute, this really is just a vehicle. It's a body. Well, what is it when you get upset or happy? What is that? I think it's the emotional body. I think that's what it is. And we interact with that astral emotional body, and we can overdo it. But I think getting to know ourselves better to find out what our triggers are that bring things up. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What are your triggers? I'm a fire sign. I'm very fiery. I'm Scottish also. I'm just very fiery. So I'm going to ramp up fast, but I need to calm that down. And I found as I've aged, thank God for everyone around me, I catch myself, or I'm like, what are you doing? Mom used to say, go run around the block or something. Now, my husband, this big alpha male, he processes things differently. And he doesn't react emotionally. Women do. We are made to do that. Your man will feel through you, and you will empath on him. You will feel a lot of his emotions and feelings for him. He may emote, but it may not get to the feeling. That's all the astral body. If I say I'm happy, well, look at it neurologically. I'm not a doctor, a neurologist, that, so I just do the best I can. Laugh if you want to, please. We have neurotransmitters, these things in the brain that are these chemical messengers, so I'm told. And it goes out to the body. It tells the body what to do. It tells so-called us what to do. We see us as, when I look in the mirror, that's me. Now, that's true too. But we have the mind. We have the mental realm, the mental body, the made of etheric. We have the astral body. It's real. It's emotions. We have our etheric body proper, few inches from the physical. Then we have the physical body. Of course, you have your soul, your spiritual body. It's very complex. But you're not going to feel your emotions if you're in your mental body. So what are we told? Well, become more mental. You don't want to become so mental that you're not processing your emotions to where you can feel. Women, we are made to do that. You're not going to get away with not doing it, because you will naturally do that. So what our challenge is to learn to pull that in and to apply it to what is happening around us. How can we make a difference? This is what we think. What can I heal? What can I help? What can I change? What can I nurture? We're made to do that. And if gals, you don't want to be a mother, don't be a mother, because your whole life you will be nurturing, but maybe you'll have 50 dogs. I've seen that too. I'm out there feeding the squirrels. Why? They're wild. They don't need that because they're cute. My husband's like, oh my God. So we are made to do that. But females have a very hard time with that. We are not critical thinkers, not naturally. It's something that we have to learn. Men, on the other hand, me not being a man, let me just say, possibly, they have to learn to process emotion, because processing your emotions or feelings is not what they're so good at. Acting, looking for a solution, protect, help in that way. They are made to do that. We need both. We need each other. Now, in Native America, my Hunka family on the Rosebud Sioux talk about two-spirit people who are gay. People who are two-spirit, you are different neurologically. And you may, even though you're a female, you may think more in a masculine way. And if you're a man, you may be very Nelly. There's something going on there too. They are very gifted in that way. They've got a lot to deal with also. But our emotions, when we say, what is it? What's causing it? External stimuli, memory. It's like what the so-called aliens said to me, the mantis beings, you don't have a present. We don't have a past. Your present is your past and your future married together. You'll get there, but you're not there now because we're emotional. We're still being like we were in Atlantis, processing everything through our emotional body.
Fascinating to consider. Yeah, me too.
Oh, it does.
It's just to think of how it's kind of beyond us makes me realize, well, that's why we don't always know where these emotions are coming from. You might be hit with them out of the blue and not realize that it's filtering down from your past or from something previously.
Oh, that is so true. That is one of my main life lessons. It's all over my astrology chart, my neurology chart. It's everywhere. Numerology, not neurology. It's everywhere in all of my charts that I came here to access those feelings and to help people and me understand, what do you do with all of this? Where does it come from? What do you do with it? I don't have answers. I have theories. We have to have the answers ourselves. Why is it when I see that beautiful blue color I love, oh, it's like food to me. Oh, it calms me. Why? That's the fifth chakra. I came here partially to speak, to be a blue, to speak. There are other colors and emotions that don't trigger me like that. But I think you need to pay attention to what you love and what seems to love you. What keeps appearing in your life, these little tickles over and over. What keeps appearing, and ask for help. You can say, you guys, I'm stuck in this. Is this a recovery issue? Is this something from my other lifetimes? Is this a cultural thing? What is this? Help me to see, and you will get help. I promise you, you will get help, but not right at that second, right? Don't be a Zoli. I need it right now. I don't have it. Oh, I'm done. That was my past.
Patience. Patience is a tough one.
Well, it is. Impatience can also be, you see what the potential is and it's not here now. It's just not here now. I'm more future oriented than past oriented. My husband's past oriented. He's a historian. He's brilliant. Oh my God. He loves museums. I'm heading to the bookshop in the museum. I'm going to drink a latte. We went to the World War II Museum. I think it's in DC. It is huge and it is fascinating. But for me, for 20 minutes, he loves it. He reads every sign. We were in there for 4 hours. 4 hours. There are different kind of people. He's not thinking emotionally when he's in there. He's processing information. You see the difference? And I'm like, ooh, I see the picture of this old mash unit. That's gotta hurt. I'm picking up and I'm processing. I'm doing the girl thing. I'm supposed to, but I'm not a historian. That isn't my thing. So to have compassion for yourself and go, so what? That's what I do. And then to honor yourself. If your guy is calling on you being too emotional, say, you know what? You depend on me to be like this. You need this. This feeds you. And then probably figure out, well, maybe he's right. I don't. That can be too. It's hard. His grandson, Liam, is in town for 3 weeks, right? Oh my God, energy and emotion. And I finally said to him, when you do that behavior, you will find, Liam, that it doesn't go well for you. I thought that was really smart. So what does he do? Smart 9-year-old boy. In about a half hour, he does the behavior. It goes 10, 9, 8, 7. That went fine for me. Oh my God, where's the duct tape? So boys,
Brilliant.
yeah, don't tell me there's no difference in boys and girls. That's bizarre. Really, that's just stupid. You know there is. So gals, honor yourself. You can be a senator, you can be a soccer star, you can do this or that. But who's going to raise the children? What's going to happen? Who's going to take care of the kids? I have a huge, gaping, warm spot in my heart for single parents. That is excruciatingly difficult. And your emotions, if you're being raised by one parent, a male or a female, there is a hole there. Is it always bad? No, it's not. But how often are we living in the perfect situation? It's not going to happen. So we strive to control our emotions. We strive to do that. And that's a good thing.
How do you think we can better align our astral or our emotional body with our physical existence?
My trail work addresses that. So when we think, to think congruently and clearly, if I think something and then I say it, and then I detach from the outcome of that, that's congruency. Thinking something, saying something, and doing something, that same thing, instead of jumping around doing this, or that. Now, we all do that too. It's just human nature. But when we strive to be congruent, it's what? Calming. Through meditation and through focusing on this, the Ajna Center, your 6th chakra. The color of it is sapphire blue. And the word Om really, really does work. That'll bring you right back into the mental. Now, when I do that, do I feel it? No, I'm an idiot. I don't feel it. But maybe other people do. But it does work.
So reassuring. Often we feel like, oh, I must be missing something because I didn't have this, divine awakening or this spiritual moving situation, when it might just be our natural state.
That's so kindly put. I absolutely, I giggle with my new age friends. Sometimes at them, they giggle at me. Why do you listen to these gurus? They have these process. If you do this, you'll reach this state. They can't do it. Don't believe it. So, and my mom used to say, I think it was Yiddish, don't beschrei yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Say, I'm going to do that. And if I focus on the Ajna Center, and if I say Om, I do notice a change. But me being a research analyst, autistic, INFJ, I'm just what I am. I go right into, I saw that. What is that? That's screwed up. Why do I do that? I just do that. It's who and what I am. So you just have to be you and figure it out, step at a time.
A tendency to overanalyze and pick everything apart rather than just be in it is
Well,
very relatable.
yeah, I'm an Enneagram 5, and that's what we do. We analyze everything. We will write books on analyzing something and never finish it. So I've had to train myself to go, nope, I'm not going to do that. It takes a training. And this is what the Ajna Center is about. It's about staying mental. Saying the great invocation. When you say that and you meditate, if you're doing transmission meditation, or if you're just meditating by yourself, you have to be in your Ajna Center or the higher, but we can't stay up there. We're not created to do that yet. We're not mastered. But you can pull yourself back to your mental state by saying inside yourself, Om, and visualizing that sapphire blue there. That does work. And it can be energizing or calming. It does work. But don't do what I do. Oh, that worked. So now that must mean just stop, for God's sake.
Do your dishes, make your bed, and go about your day.
That's so true. That is the truth. And that also is an emotional state where I feel obligated to figure shit out. I feel obligated, how some other people feel obligated to do this, or that. That's my thing. So we all have these weird pieces of personality that seem to separate us from other people or join us with other people, but it's idiosyncratic behavior and it's quirks. Sometimes it's delightful. Sometimes it's the most irritating thing on the planet. And you can see with kids growing up how they're developing those, and we develop those as a response to external stimuli. What is being told to you or mirrored to you? So you develop response and reactivity to that, and it can be very emotional.
Is that sometimes detrimental? Are there ways we can process stuff, some of these quirks that we've created for ourselves in order to get closer to our purpose or our soul?
Yeah, well, that's what recovery is about. Recovery from what? Addiction, from icky behavior, from codependency. We get stuck in those things. That's why the techniques of body code, emotion code, EFT tapping, it releases those stuck points. It's like a door that's stuck. You can't get it open. Somebody comes by and opens it. That's what that is. So you can ask for help. If you are stuck, find a way to get out of it. Once you realize you can't do it by yourself, maybe you're not supposed to. And if you're codependent, when you see other people do it, it'll make you feel good that you helped them figure it out. We're all insane.
We are all insane, and there's so many different layers to unravel that we can sometimes feel like it's all too much. So what's the point of doing any of it?
That's where hope comes in. And that's where faith comes in, that you have to have a basis. And we all get to those points. A couple of days ago, Tom and Liam were off camping and doing something. I said, why am I in such a bad mood? I'm glad they're not here. My thoughts were ugly. I mean, ugly. And I don't get like that. It was like there was a anger ball living inside of me. I thought, what is that? My nervous system was overwhelmed. With what? With all these energies coming in. My numerologist just reported that, there are people that are vibrating. They're going through these vibrating shake things right now because their feelings are coming up. But also we're being hit with these frequencies, these resonantial packages. These bodies are having a hard time. So what do you expect?
It sometimes seems like we've forgotten the wisdom of our ancestors with some of this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, they didn't have technology. They didn't have the phones, but the times that we're in, we were born to deal with this. Remember, you can do this and you are not a victim to this. You were born with a neurology to deal with that. Your brain, my theory, is that you were born with a capacity of dealing with these aberrant frequencies, these bizarre feelings of detachment and time and space. We will adjust. And this is how we're doing it. We will be looked at in the future as the ancients. You see that? Yeah. It comes and it goes. There will be a time in the future, my husband laughed at this one. I said, in the future, 100 years from now? I don't know. Kids will ask their parents, do you remember? We've seen movies of this. People used to go and sit at something called a bar and put drugs in their body. And then they would go wreck their cars or get killed and they couldn't remember. Did people really do that? What do you think of that one?
That's kind of neat. And it's really true because already my kids are saying to me, what was it like to live in the 1900s?
What were the dinosaurs like? Well, they were big. They were very big. Yeah, I was born in 1953, in the middle of last century. Liam looked at me the other day and he said, who's older, you or Grandpa? I said, I'm 5 years older than him. And he went, whoa. I mean, what do you do with that? I don't know what to do with that. I said, yeah, so eat your vegetables. I don't know. Eat your vegetables and you've had enough sugar. And he just laughs, I'm an idiot. But we do the best we can, y'all. You really are doing the best you can. And you were born with this neurology, and the wisdom of the ancients is there. The Sutra, the Lakota Sioux, oh my God, they have rituals and they often live by those rituals about what men and women should do and how they do that. It seems very restrictive to us, all this. We want freedom all the time. So times change and mores change, but the value systems really don't. What do we value? All over the world. What do we value? We value kindness. We value having enough good food and potable water, enough wealth to where you can take care of yourself, where you can live in a community, the value of the other, of living with other people, little isolated or totally committed to that. It depends. We have the same value system. We want peace of mind. People, humanity, are following, know it or not, what's called the plan of light, love, and power. Look at the Maitreya work on this. 18.5 billion years ago, it teaches, Sanat Kumara came from Venus, a god, a very evolved being. Then 18 million years ago, hierarchy developed this plan. And there is a plan for humanity. Are we following it? Yeah, kind of. It comes and it goes, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change. There is a plan, and that's what you should have faith in. That's what you should see as a whole piece that won't change.
That knowledge is really compelling. If you think of a plan set in motion 18 million years ago, and we're here for this part in it, it seems so crucial that we realize our place and our power, but also just being.
The being is going to happen whether you want it or not. Once you're in the reincarnational cycle of Earth, you can spend 1 million years out there in the stars, but you got to finish your agreement here. I giggle when people say, oh, I'm not coming back. It's my last life. No, I hate to tell you that. That's okay, but that's bullshit. I mean, come on. And most of the leaders that we criticize, they're pretty evolved people. They're probably more evolved than most of us. And what makes you evolve? Public service. Isn't that interesting? If you're in the cities, there's more chi energy in the cities than in the country. Why? Because people are there. People are incarnated pieces of God. We are potential masters. Every single one of them.
Why can't we feel that towards each other better?
because there's no price to it. How would you benefit from feeling that? We can't really connect with that yet. Things right now, we're going through this period, and I don't think it's all bad. High technology, everything's commercialism. We'll work through it. We had to learn, humanity, the value of the physical stuff we create and how little of it we really, really need. I'm not going to get on the soapbox about that. But not all this is so horrible. Global warming is happening, but we are also, the earth is moving towards the central sun. There are three suns. There's the thing we call the sun that heats through friction. There is a heart sun, which is where love comes from. And there is a central sun. The earth is energetically, how it does it, I don't know. Physics screaming, yell at me, go ahead. We are moving towards that. And the earth is getting hotter. We are ending the ice age period of this earth. Warm Wisconsin glaciation, what was it, 10 million years ago? Missoula, we live up in the mountains, but when you go down to town in Missoula, it was a lake. That was Lake Missoula. This could have been lakefront property 10,000 years ago. I don't know. But we have to put things in perspective. But the main thing is, let's get back to the emotional aspect. How do we deal with all this emotionally? You have to have something that you believe in that's bigger than you. You got to have faith. You got to have some kind of trust and a value system that extends past you, that goes through space and time evenly and with divinity, with some grace. And that is always going to be love and kindness and a certain sense of community, your health of the vehicle that you live in, your mental health. What are you doing with your life? And when we think things are moving too fast or we're out of control, it gets scary. But it'll come around. Just realize that, God help you if you are having problems, if you are wanting to end your life, please get some help, because you don't know that in 10 seconds that's not going to change. We all go through times of feeling depressed. Neurologically, that can be a serious thing. Get help. I'm not a person that can help you, but there are people who can. But no matter who or what you are, no matter how evolved you are, no matter what culture you're in, no matter what color you are, what sexuality you are, we all have the same value systems because we all have the same emotions.
That's so comforting and so kind, the way you describe faith. In a lot of people's experience, faith can be a negative. So when you bring it just back to love and back to that foundational knowing and that finding love, it takes away the pressure and the negative experiences of forced religion, perhaps, that people can't get past in order to find their faith.
That's a very hard thing. And I'm not anti-religions. What I am anti is people bullying other people with their own fears. And every major religion of the world has all these add-ons, all these little cousins of the truth. If you don't do this, this is going to happen or that. And that's evil. I think to tell a child they're a sinner, that's child abuse. Wait till the child starts asking questions, 9, 10. What is God? What does that mean? When they ask, their neurology is ready. But that is not faith. What that is that if you are abused in that way, that's dogma and that's abuse. That is absolutely not faith. They'll tell you to have faith, and then they'll tell you that you have to do it their way. And they do that because they're scared. They're scared. They've been taught that themselves. I know a gal from our parish that is terrified. Everything about her life, and she doesn't listen to these, everything about her life is, I'm going to end up in purgatory because I'm not good enough to go to heaven and sit there in a cloud for the next 10 million years. You don't do that. That's ridiculous. So you are wasting your life and your creativity living in fear. You don't have to please God. Are you kidding? Why would you have to please God? It's an energy field that you can't even imagine. If it judged you, it would be God. What you have to do is to try to work through your emotion, try to find truth for yourself and other people. You will grieve. You will absolutely go through grieving and some depression and some hard things. And those things will happen usually with the end of a cycle. And you might have to live empty for a while. But nature abhors a vacuum. It'll fill back up.
It really will. And you've always said to just look for those little things, the little joy muffins that can light you up and help you along your way.
Yes. And we can create those. We can do that in our life. We don't think we have the right to do it, but we do. I've heard it said, well, people are dropping out of religions right and left. Then I hear, no, people are joining the church more and more. Who knows what the truth is? It could have to do with where you live, how you live. But so-called people, we're getting smarter. We're questioning. We want truth because we are waking up. We're waking up out of a long, long, long period of being told what to do and just doing it by a populace of a few people who have control through money, through force, not power. But we do that when we're adult children. We're growing out of that. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
You put it that way, it is really beautiful. And it's almost as though we're humbling ourselves to find a more simpler way, but we have to get through kind of the mess we've made for ourselves.
We have to do that every day. The guys came home from camping. Why did I have 5 loads of laundry? Because that's a mess. Who cares? If I don't do it, who's going to do it? You do it with love and affection. Say, I'm glad to play my part in this family. That's my family. You're glad to play a part and glad to play a role, but you don't have to like it. The emotions is not like you're just having somebody pour chocolate down your throat while you're folding the line. We confuse those things. We confuse it. And if you don't like how you feel, wait 20 minutes. Time it. Play my silly game. That's giving yourself a joy muffin. Write that down somewhere. If I feel X, Y, or Z, wait 20 minutes. Look at the clock. Write it down. 20 minutes. You'll probably forget. Go, wow, why was I thinking about that? Or why did I feel that? It's just how we're made to do that.
A really good point that we don't have to be exhilarated all the time. We're not always going to be full of excitement in this life. There'll be times you're doing things you don't want to do, and there'll be times you have emotions that you don't want to experience. Like you said, it's going to change.
It is. And I think that's part of the difficulty of teenagehood. My brother, of course, said God gives you babies to make sure you don't kill them when they're teenagers. My solution is always big roll of duct tape. I joke about that. But in teenagehood, you realize what? Wait a minute. I got to do shit I don't want to do. And everybody's going to hear about it because my hormones are raging. My brain is developing. For boys, your feet and hands are bigger. You're clumsy. Your voice is changing. It's a mess. We are a mess. It's transitional. That's why super wealthy people send them off to boarding school. I don't want to deal with you when you're like this. Maybe everybody should do that. I don't know. Go to UFO, come pick up tall teenager and take them to teenagehood planet. I don't know. But it's just part of life. And we have to develop and grow alongside our children and our husband or our wife. We are growing creatures. And the person you married, you've been married, say, 10 years, that's not the same person. Hopefully you aren't either. But hopefully you still share values. You share a value system. During the happy-go-lucky, I've just met you, I'm in love with you stage, we see that other person as perfect. That's perfect. I remember a friend of mine said, God, I was in my 20s. I love everything about you. I said, wait 6 months. I knew, but that's one of the things I knew. There's plenty I didn't. I still got all locked up in it. But we will get locked up in things and then berate ourselves for it instead of going, so what? It wasn't so bad. What I did wasn't so bad. It was just a personality thing. I can fix it. I can be kind. And I think the kindness to others, I've had to learn to be patient with myself, to give myself to not have to answer an email when I get it. Now, I don't sit next to my phone. I'm not 12. If you call me, it may be a day or so. I don't know. Check my emails in the morning. I go off and do things. I'm just not. I had a gal once, she was adorable. She was in her 20s. She says, I texted you 3 times. You didn't answer. I said, well, let me look. That was all within 5 minutes.
Oh, boy.
And she was mad because she was afraid. She was afraid because in that age, whatever age she was, Julia, I don't remember what age you were, sweetheart, because I know she listens to these. We appropriately react and respond to the stimuli of our age. Now, I don't think she does that anymore. She's older. But we do that did. Liam, the 9-year-old, he doesn't have a phone. We have to watch what he watches on TV. I've seen my God, how many episodes of Spider-Man are there? I had no idea. I didn't know. When I didn't raise kids. The reason I didn't have children was because I loved them and I knew that it would take up 100% of my time, and I didn't come here this life to do that. So give yourself a break.
Wow, that's giving yourself grace to realize this is not my place. And especially as females, we have so many expectations. We're expected to have babies. We're expected to be mothers. So being who you are takes a lot of courage.
It does. I have a gal friend, and she's adorable. She's Mormon, and she is a true Mormon. And the Mormon friends I've had, they're amazing. I said, how you doing, Linda? She said, I am getting really sore from falling off this pedestal all the time. It hurts. She said, we have these rules that we have to live by. They're not all bad. But I am like living up on this pedestal, and my husband is too. I knocked him off, though he bounces right back. But that's a cultural thing. That's culture. It works for them. I don't mind it at all. I think it's fascinating. But we reach these points with our traditions and values, we might challenge them, say, I don't know if that's working for me. Then it's on.
Yeah, that can be a whole whirlwind of confusion when that happens.
It is confusion, and it should be. It's how we grow. I had a chat with a priest, and he's in Missouri. He knows who he is. He doesn't listen to these. He's always in trouble. They said he doesn't do anything bad, except he just doesn't communicate, and he says weird shit he shouldn't. So I met him out after Mass one day, and I said, you did it again, didn't you? They're sending you to that parish up north. He said, that's how the church changes, by being challenged. I thought, well, it's not working well for you because you're dealing with the Vatican. You're dealing with a huge entity, but he's being true to himself. So how are you true to yourself? What are your values? What's important to you? That is the question, and that will give you faith, and that will give you confidence. We're not born with self-esteem. That's something that we value because we earn it.
That gave me so much clarity in the idea of finding your faith through your values. And it really is kind of more of a streamlined, self-directed path.
Oh, honey, that's all there is. That's all there is. And nobody can take that away from you. What do you value? That's Taurus, second house. That is your ground. That's your taproot. Nobody can take those feelings from you. And that's precious. And there's grace in that. And it could be what you were taught or what you've taught yourself.
Yeah, and it feels like it's one of those golden threads we've discussed, and it quiets all the other noise around. And we have a lot of noise, and just really gets you back to, okay, who am I? What am I here for? What do I believe? Regardless of my outside circumstances.
Who you are, your identity is sacred. It is sacrosanct. It is absolute sacred, as is the identity of each country. Each country has its own soul number and its own personality number. Those are sacred things. That's why you'll never had totally combined world or there's no borders. That's not what it means. That's not what that means. The open borders idea has to do with our mind, not with physical ingress and egress.
That makes a lot of sense. And it feels like the forces that are trying to get us to be open borders or post-national, no, global instead of national, are kind of the same negative forces that are telling us that we're not okay to be who we are.
That's right. I think it's satanic energy. It's the icky stuff, taking away what you value. If you don't know if you're a girl or a boy, take down your pants and look. I said that. That is your identity. And if you're going through a phase, y'all, where you want to be a tranny and you think this is you, my advice is just don't cut anything off or add anything. Give it some time, because you're going to be taking hormones that are going to mess you up. And we don't know the effect of all of that. You could have been born to spirit, but that's not transvestite. That's totally different. You know, we're in the time of race 7, the age of Aquarius, that rules sexuality. So we're going to figure all this out. But your sexuality is sacred to you. I've got some wonderful gal friends. They're gay. They never thought of being anything else. The gay guys I know, they don't want to be transvestite. They're gay. And that's who they are. They are two spirit. That's real. That's absolutely real. But who you are, what's your spirituality? What kind of belief systems do you have of interaction with other people? And what do you think about your own sexuality, your own being? What are the messages that you're giving off to yourself and others? That's all sacred stuff. And that's your faith, and that's your value.
And that self-acceptance of who you are is not expressed enough, that you're just who you are and you're beautiful and sacred coming here and being that person.
That's very true. Just coming here and being that person. If you want to be different, just be yourself. That's a huge thing. If you just be who you are, and you're not copying somebody in Hollywood, which is dying out, or somebody that's a music person, it's all about they get attention. That's what it's all about. But you will get attention in a calm, positive way when you can just be who you are. If somebody insults you, say, "Excuse me," and smile and walk away. Just walk away.
That walking away is something that we always think we have to explain ourselves or confront, but walking away is a whole other level of autonomy. And I love hearing you encourage people to do just that.
It took me a long time to get to there, because TMI, too much information, over explaining, excusing this and that. Women, we do communicate differently than boys. That's how it is. Now, there's road rage. Guys will get into it like in a second. There's some girl. How much alcohol is involved in all of that? I don't know. Pull over, be quiet. If they bother you, call 911 in this country. You have an out, but usually People want attention who are acting out. They want you to look at them. They want you to see them and acknowledge them. You don't have to do that. If you disappear, there's somebody else available to give them that. That's what these famous people are about. They get attention. And they have to do all kind of awful, weird things to their body, mind, and spirit to freeze themselves in the age that they were when they became famous. That's frightening. That is frightening. Exactly. So love yourself. It is hard to do because you are bombarded with messages that say you ain't good enough. But this is something that you got to work out by yourself. But people who love you, they don't care what you look like. They don't care. They don't care if you got a pound of lip filler and you look like a blowfish or some kind of Brazilian butt thing where now you can put a teacup on your butt. Really? That's not love. That's fear. That's fear. People who love you will love you because you are naturally lovable.
Why can't people feel that? Why can't people see how lovable they are?
We're scared. We all, we anticipate other people's reaction to our behavior. We think they can read our minds. You can't. Not usually, but we go into fear, and fear is very much a part of life. It's the opposite of love. But when you are moving calmly and confidently and kindly through space and time, you will disappear from a lot of conflict. They won't even see you.
So how do you get to that stage that you're able to do that?
By not doing it and seeing the consequences, that's what I have to do. Zoe, how'd you learn this? Well, by doing the opposite.
Getting so frustrated.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? Over and over and over the same behavior. But I'm now at the age of 73. If I don't have all this stage makeup on, I don't look like this when I walk around the house. I do this to honor myself when I talk to the public. That is what I am doing. But who we are simply and kindly is these guides incarnate. Your soul is eternal. When you were created, you don't have an end. You just don't. The bodies come and go. They're like ants. I mean, we have thousands of them. Maitreya, the world teacher, he came into the body first 8 million years ago. And he is a realized master, a 6th degree realized master. It takes time. And it takes experiencing time.
So somebody's not going to just be able to jump in and be a master in this lifetime.
No, you can imagine that and tell people you are, and it's ridiculous. And you can't channel a master. It's very embarrassing, I think, for these people that I see on some of these media things that they're channeling Master Kutumi or Maitreya. You can't channel that because that channeling comes from here, your gut. It comes from your astral, emotional body. There's some wonderful channeled material. The Course in Miracles is channeled. It's brilliant. Jesus gave that to one of his disciples who gave it to the person who channeled it. There's some wonderful channeling, but it's all emotional, every bit of it. And many times it's to teach us about our emotions.
Is there a way that we can get through that emotional body to better connect with our soul?
Well, that's this thing. That's being true to yourself. Lying, why do we lie? Well, there's a lot of reasons. I won't even get into that. But consistent lying is codependency, and it weakens your immune system. It is toxic. And codependency says it's just as easy for me to lie as it is to tell the truth. I have a family member that does that. You can't believe a thing coming out of this person's mouth because they live in a fantasy world of thinking that they have to appear a certain way when everyone around them knows they're not like that. But that's ego. Remember MACE, money, alcohol, sexuality, money addiction, sexuality, and ego. Spec Ops use that, the alphabet companies. What controls you? Money, addiction, your sexuality, or your ego. We all have that. But are you going to let that control you? That's loss of emotion. So you come into these bodies to go, yeah, I can do that too. And when we can admit kindly and calmly, I am all of that. I have the ability to be a murderer. I have the ability to be this or that. We have that in us. And what causes those things is lack of emotional control.
What would your advice be to people who don't even know they're lying to themselves? Like they're so either codependent or stuck where they're at. They're not aware that they're lying to themselves. How do they get there?
I did that. That was my big thing. I was so terrified of, I think it was autism, I don't know, being in public, that I would create these belief systems of saying, this is who and what I am. And I would try to convince other people around me that that's who or what I was. When I was a teenager in my early 20s, I wasn't who I am now, thank God. If I had understood then what I understand now, that couldn't have happened because it's a growth period. You have to grow out of it and don't try to change it. Here's what you do. You notice it. Watch yourself being yourself. Why did I think I had to lie about that? Did you eat that? Nope, didn't. I had a friend once, I was sitting on the couch and I was eating lunch. The friend walks outside, came back in. I said, what's the weather? The friend said, I don't know. I haven't been outside.
Yikes.
We're all nuts. We're all just nuts. I mean, there's times you might need to lie. You might need to. But if you are kind to yourself, you will pull out of the situations that call for you to do that. Who is around you that shouldn't be? Why do you have to lie to this person all the time? Because you don't trust them. Because they're not good for you. They don't wish you well. Get that person out of your life. You have permission to do that from your higher self. If you don't, your lying will continue and you will hate yourself for doing it. But it just takes noticing. If we go through habits, I think, patterns, addictions, and we say, I'm not going to try eating all this sugar at night. I'm going to quit trying to do it because I can't stop. If you just go, okay, I'm doing that now. Look at me. I'm eating all this sugar and I've done it now for a long time. I'm going to continue to do it. I don't think I can stop. If you keep noticing you, that's like a part of you, a parental part of you, is the eyes looking at you. And sooner or later, you'll go, oh, I don't need that. So my husband says, and I agree, you lie to yourself first. We lie to ourselves first. And then we have to include everybody in it. What a joyful party.
That's so true. And it's like that noticing shows that everything we're doing, even if it's detrimental, is we think it's a form of protection in some way.
Who made you like that? That's what you can ask about somebody else or you. Who made you be that? Who from your childhood threatened you so much that you developed a pattern of deception because of that input? Ask yourself that. I had a lady come up to, and I've talked about this before. She came up and she said, I had no idea. I don't know if those shoes match that purse. And I said, who did that to you? Who did that to you? And I don't remember what she said, but I thought, wow, that was really cool. I'm going to do that again.
That is cool.
I was a lot younger. I was rather mouthy. I've had to learn not to do that too.
Well, there's a time and a place, right?
Yes, there is. But who did this to you? Why are you lying about something? You know what we are. I like what Chase Hughes says, and I don't know if it's true, but he's pretty damn smart. Age 1 through 8, we are programmed. We are in Delta. Our minds are just, give me, teach me, I'm watching this or that. And that's all that it takes. Then about age 9, we're like, ooh, wait a minute. Neurology changes. But age 1 through 8, we are still acting like that some ways. I know I do it. And I'm just like you guys. There's no difference. There's no difference. We all have the same behavior. Doesn't mean that we have the same behavioral patterns, but we have the potential for the same. And we point our finger at other people doing it. We project that out there because I think we want to see what it looks like.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it is. We're all, it's curious. It is. We're all weird.
We are. And yet what you said about being kind to ourselves, it really is it sounds simple, but it really is the key. And something that we're not taught that. We don't even realize it. You know, going back to how we started the conversation about people pleasing, if we were kind to ourselves, we wouldn't fall into the people pleasing that's the negative type, that's detrimental to ourselves.
True. And consider the stages of life. For women, the maiden, the mother, I'm the crone. Now, I'll give an example of how I've had to learn to be kind to myself. I love mowing my lawn with my little California electric lawnmower. It weighs 30 pounds. I've got a little electric weed eater. I love doing that. It's wonderful. But I don't do 5 sections in one day. I made sure that I don't have 2 batteries so that after 45 minutes, my batteries run out. I'm like, go inside, drink some lemonade, maybe cool off. And it takes me 3 days to do this yard and this garden area. I'm out there with my little scissors clipping things in the garden area. But it's good for me, but I couldn't have done that before. I'd be panicked. Oh my God, mom's going to come around the corner. Mom's dead, first of all. Second of all, she'd live 5,000 miles away. Really? So watch yourself watching yourself. When we get upset and martyrous and feel sorry for ourselves, it's because we are in a childhood state of mind being narcissistic. Narcissism will feel sorry for itself first. We all do it. I mean, come on. Just we do that. But so what? When we cry, it's like we're in the childhood state. I don't know what to do. It's human nature. But you can be kind to yourself by presets, by presetting like I did with the battery. I'm not getting 2 batteries for my lawnmower because I'll be out there. Well, I probably wouldn't. I'm too old to do that anyway. But my mind would say I should be. There's a part of me. This stuff doesn't go anywhere. You just have to recognize it and say no.
Yes, no is a complete sentence. That's a maybe a whole other podcast of how to be kind to yourself by saying no.
I like that. I've never heard that. No is a complete sentence. They'd probably be in capitals.
Yes. Well, we forget that for ourselves and we tend to make excuses. And if we just go back to those 2 words that you keep nailing into our brains, be kind to yourself.
Because I need to hear it too. Fiery people, they'll get too active and burn out. Watery people will get too emotional and burn out. Earthy people will get too structured. Airy people, they're off in the clouds. Whatever. We're all certain kinds of people. We're a combination of all that. But I like me better now than I did years ago because I am kinder to myself doing these podcasts and keeping saying it to me as I'm releasing this research to y'all. I don't know y'all. I don't know who you are, but I think I'm just like you. That's why I let you know that you are not alone in this. You are not alone, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to have a beautiful.
Oh, there's so much peace of mind in that. And thank you always for bringing us back to that hope, for having these conversations that are real and that bring up everything that, is relatable to people. We all have so much in common. And you really bring us back to that common denominator of love.
Well, I need to hear it too. I do. Thank you, Linda. God bless everybody.
Take care.